Within a mere 24 hours, a late-night comedy segment went viral, racking up over 5 million views and sending shockwaves across social media from Twitter to TikTok to YouTube. The man behind this firestorm? Bill Maher, who launched a sharp series of punchlines aimed squarely at the Trump family and Laura Loomer. But it wasn't just the laughs that captured the public's attention, it was the social aftershocks that followed. It all kicked off with Maher reading a list called 22 Rules for Dating, supposedly penned by the ex-girlfriend of a used car owner. The list was intense, like a relationship contract written by a drill sergeant. Rules like never saving a girl's number, replying to texts within 10 minutes, and never complaining about anything she does. The list sparked heated debates on the internet for 2 weeks, but Maher wasn't finished. He took it further, comparing this list to a set of unwritten rules that Melania Trump might have for her husband, including things like
her rules. You are not to leave your girdle on the bathroom floor. You are not to ask for hand. You are not allowed to eat Wendy's in bed. Tell Wendy I can hear her. You are not to ever again mention the bride catalog's return policy.
Then came the next twist. According to Maher, Melania Trump isn't just a wife. She's a symbol of emotional distance, coldness, and a complete lack of personal identity. He portrayed her as someone trapped in a contract, where every appearance next to her husband felt like an invisible hostage situation. This phrase went viral, exploding across platforms and shared over 1.3 million times in just 48 hours. But the storm didn't stop. Enter Laura Loomer, former congressional candidate and vocal Trump supporter. Maher quipped,
A dozen Republican candidates tried to stop Trump and couldn't. Hillary couldn't. Never Trumpers couldn't. Mueller couldn't. Is there anyone left who can check Donald Trump? Yes, Melania. It's not anti-feminist to say that in addition to doing everything men can do intellectually, women also have another power, the power of the ultimatum. Getting men to change their destructive ways by threatening to leave them, humiliate them, or cut them off in bed. It's a tale as old as time.
Finally, Maher hit Trump where it hurts the most, his inability to take a joke.
Melania, the world needs you. President Hellboy has proved to be impervious to facts, reason, shame, and the law. But maybe if you left him for another man, especially if that man was Mexican.
This wasn't just a joke. It was a breakdown of the media cycle. Joke, outrage, viral sharing, and mockery. According to Social Blade, Maher's segment racked up over 27 million views across platforms, sparked more than 2,300 response videos, and nearly 9,000 memes within days. As predicted, Trump couldn't resist reacting. He posted 3 separate rants on Truth Social, feeding right back into the media loop, making the joke even bigger. But that wasn't the end. Over the past few days, Michelle Obama delivered a powerful speech that captivated the nation's attention.
We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of 2 hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black.
Almost immediately, Donald Trump fired back with a strong social media response. What triggered this exchange between the former First Lady and the former President? In her speech, Michelle Obama made sharp remarks about leadership and the standards that should come with it. She shared her and Barack's experiences, recalling how Trump had questioned his legitimacy and fueled public doubt about his qualifications. Michelle emphasized that being president isn't just about stirring up controversy, it's about leading with responsibility. Her words reignited a fierce debate about the way political figures attack and discredit each other. Within moments of Michelle Obama's speech making headlines, Trump took to social media, blasting back with a post calling her comments unfair and inaccurate. According to Trump, the media and high-profile figures often push narratives without seeing the full political picture, accusing Michelle of launching personal attacks. Supporters of Trump saw his reaction as justified, as he's long claimed he's been unfairly treated by the press.
I'm saying the media, you have been lying to the American people long enough.
However, critics argue that once again, Trump is following his usual playbook, turning every criticism into a public battle to rally his base. What stands out in this clash is the stark contrast in how Michelle Obama and Donald Trump approach matters. Michelle is known for her calm, composed demeanor, focusing on unity, education, and moral responsibility. Trump, on the other hand, is direct, unfiltered, and quick to fire back at any challenge. Michelle's husband, Barack Obama, had to navigate through a range of crises during his presidency, from rescuing the economy after the Great Recession to making the call to take out Osama bin Laden, handling devastating natural disasters like Hurricane Sandy, and much more. When it comes to what we should expect from a president, Michelle argued, we need someone who takes the job seriously, something she believes Trump has failed to demonstrate. These contrasting approaches have led to a split in public opinion. Some believe Michelle's speech masterfully reinforced her values and exposed Trump's leadership flaws, while others think Trump had every right to defend himself, pointing out the media's long history of attacking him. Regardless of where one stands, it's clear that every word from Michelle Obama or Donald Trump stirs strong reactions across the nation. This won't be the last exchange between them. Michelle's speeches often dominate the headlines, while Trump's responses keep the conversation going. But what do you think? Was Trump's response justified? Was Michelle Obama directly addressing him, or simply reflecting on leadership in general? Stay tuned, because this clash is far from over. In a new chapter of tensions between the US and Canada, a nearly $19 billion deal hangs in the balance. Trump has threatened to impose a 100% tariff on Canada's auto industry if the country doesn't take action to stop migrants crossing the northern border. Speaking on Fox News, Trump warned that the influx of migrants could result in serious consequences if Canada doesn't intervene. In response, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney fired back, insisting that no amount of economic pressure would force Canada to abandon its sovereignty. He firmly rejected the idea of Canada becoming America's 51st state and reaffirmed that Canada is an independent nation, not a pawn in anyone's strategy. This escalation has quickly resulted in a shift in action. Ottawa has launched a full review of its contract to purchase 88 F-35 fighter jets, despite already ordering the first 16 aircraft. This $19 billion review represents a significant turning point in Canada's strategic thinking and its alignment on military matters. The shift is not just limited to Canada. Portugal, another NATO member, has also cancelled its planned purchase of F-35 jets from Lockheed Martin. The Portuguese defense minister expressed concerns that America's current foreign policy could destabilize its allies. The simultaneous pullback of two NATO countries from the F-35 program reflects more than just skepticism about the aircraft. It highlights a growing loss of trust in U.S. leadership within the Western alliance. As a result, Canada is now seriously considering alternatives like the Swedish Saab Gripen E, citing its lower cost and greater ease of integration. The Saab Gripen fighter jet is not just an alternative to the F-35 for Canada. It's a political statement signaling military independence from the United States. Designed for Arctic conditions, the Gripen offers the ability to operate on improvised runways and is equipped with the Meteor missile, one of the most advanced long-range air-to-air weapons in the world. But beyond its technical advantages, the Gripen represents Canada's shift towards self-reliance in defense. The country is heavily investing in its own defense industry, which now generates nearly 10 billion Canadian dollars annually, with over 60% of the revenue coming from exports. This sector supports more than 64,000 high-skilled jobs. Key players in Canada's growing defense industry include General Dynamics, which manufactures the LAV-6 armored vehicles, CAE, specializing in military flight simulation and pilot training, and MDA, which develops satellite components and rocket engines. In addition to strengthening its defense industry, Canada is actively expanding its military capabilities. The country has signed major defense contracts, including the purchase of 16 P-8A Poseidon aircraft from Boeing to replace its aging CP-140 fleet, and the ordering of 11 MQ-9B Sky Guardian UAVs for monitoring remote regions and borders. Canada has also signed a $2 billion Canadian contract with Germany to maintain its Leopard 2 tank fleet. While Canada pursues these alternative defense strategies, Europe is also taking significant steps to assert itself as a new center of military power. The European Union has unveiled its ambitious Rearm Europe program, worth €800 billion, aimed at boosting arms production, removing budget caps on defense spending, and reducing dependence on the United States. According to the CEO of Rheinmetall, a leading European defense firm, EU defense spending could reach €1 trillion by 2030. These moves signal Europe's intent to establish a more independent defense posture, diverging from traditional reliance on the US. In response to these shifts, the US's once indispensable military leadership role is beginning to fade, especially in the eyes of its traditional allies. Canada's decision to cancel the $19 billion F-35 deal with Lockheed Martin is just the latest move in this evolving global security landscape. This decision comes just days after Portugal made a similar move, signaling a broader trend of NATO countries re-evaluating their defense strategies and seeking alternatives to US military systems. The reason behind Canada's cancellation of the F-35 deal is closely tied to the trade and political tensions between Canada and the US, especially under Donald Trump's leadership. Protectionist policies and severe tariffs have made reliance on the US for defense increasingly precarious for Canada. Portugal's defense minister echoed similar concerns, noting that the instability in US foreign policy under Trump has made it impossible for Portugal to continue pursuing the F-35 program. Did you know that in just 1 year, South Korea's chip exports to China dropped by a staggering 31%? Behind that number lies a silent tech war that's quietly reshaping the global map. In 2025, the US took its first major action by reinstating tariffs and export controls targeting key tech sectors. The goal? To block China from accessing advanced semiconductor technologies, especially in electric vehicles, artificial intelligence, and next-gen telecom networks like 5G. Why is the US doing this? Because in today's world, whoever controls the chips controls the future. But here's the catch. The US can't do it alone. They need a partner, and South Korea is the first key link in this global tech chain. South Korea isn't just a chip maker. It's Asia's supply chain powerhouse, home to billions of critical components produced by giants like Samsung and SK Hynix. For years, Chinese tech firms like Huawei, BYD, and NIO heavily relied on Korean chips to power their smart EVs, AI servers, and premium phone systems. But in early 2025, South Korea's chip exports to China suddenly dropped by 31%. This trade-off, as stated by a senior official from Korea's Ministry of Trade, reflects a deeper geopolitical move. As South Korea strengthens its partnership with the United States on critical technologies, losing a portion of its market share in China is a price it's willing to pay. This is no longer purely an economic decision, it's a strategic geopolitical move. The US and South Korea quickly agreed to a deep partnership in semiconductor supply chains, EV technologies, and long-term tech security. With the US setting clear expectations, more market share, more data, and more access in exchange for partial tariff exemptions, R&D support for Korean firms in the US, and priority access to key federal tech funding. Seoul understood the message. The US market, bigger, more stable, and far less risky than China's tightening grip, offers a safer, more profitable option. This isn't about choosing sides anymore, it's about survival. China, on the other hand, is facing major challenges. Despite pouring billions of dollars into building its domestic chip industry, it still can't produce high-speed memory chips, core AI processors, or modern microcontrollers for EVs. Without access to Korean chips, major players like BYD and Xiaomi have been forced to delay key projects, with new smartphones even shipping with older, underpowered chips. Industry experts have described this as a domino effect in tech, where a single break in the supply chain can shake the entire industry. So, who's winning? The US and South Korea are emerging victorious as they secure global market share while China struggles to catch up. For China, options are limited. Boycotting Korean goods could backfire by hurting its own consumers. Sanctioning giants like Samsung, LG, or Hyundai risks damaging its own supply chains. Expanding ties with Russia or Malaysia doesn't solve the problem since it lacks access to core technologies. Meanwhile, South Korea is reaping the benefits from Washington's tax breaks for investments, support for domestic production in the US, and priority treatment under Buy American policies. For global consumers, electronics prices are rising slightly, and some product launches are facing delays. But for US and Korean tech firms, this is a golden opportunity, a chance to seize more global market share. This isn't just a battle between governments. It's a race to control the future of the world's tech. Don't look away, there's much more waiting to unfold. The global landscape is shifting in ways that could have profound implications for the future of international relations, technology, and defense strategies. As we move into a new era, countries around the world are taking bold steps to secure their interests, increase autonomy, and adapt to a rapidly changing geopolitical environment. From Canada's re-evaluation of its defense alliances to the European Union's efforts to bolster its military independence and the ongoing tech war between the US and China, the stage is being set for a new global order. These developments are more than just political maneuvers. They're a reflection of the evolving priorities of nations as they seek to protect their sovereignty and safeguard their future. In the realm of defense, Canada's recent decision to cancel its $19 billion deal to purchase F-35 fighter jets from Lockheed Martin is a significant turning point. For years, Canada has relied on the United States for its defense needs. But recent political tensions and trade disputes, particularly under the leadership of former President Donald Trump, have pushed Canada to reconsider its reliance on American military systems. This cancellation is not just about the F-35 program, it's part of a broader trend of countries seeking to diversify their defense strategies and invest in more self-reliant systems. One of the most prominent alternatives in Canada's defense strategy is the Saab J-39 Gripen fighter jet, produced by Sweden. The Gripen has gained attention for its versatility and ability to operate in harsh Arctic conditions, which are critical for Canada's national security needs. The jet is also equipped with advanced technology, including the Meteor missile, which is one of the most advanced long-range air-to-air weapons in the world. However, the decision to explore the Gripen is more than just about military capabilities. It represents a political statement. By seeking alternatives to the F-35, Canada is asserting its desire for more independence in defense matters, signaling a shift towards self-sufficiency and autonomy. This shift in Canada's defense strategy is not happening in isolation. It is part of a broader trend across the globe, particularly in Europe, where countries are increasingly looking to reduce their dependence on the United States for military support. The European Union has unveiled its ambitious Rearm Europe initiative, which aims to raise €800 billion to invest in defense capabilities and reduce reliance on external partners. This initiative reflects Europe's growing desire for strategic autonomy as countries seek to develop their own military systems and capabilities without relying on the US. The EU's Rearm Europe program is a significant step towards this goal, with plans to increase defense spending, boost weapons production, and remove budget caps on defense expenditures. By 2030, EU defense spending could reach €1 trillion, marking a dramatic shift in Europe's military posture. This move is not just about military strength, it's about Europe asserting itself as a global power in its own right, reducing its reliance on Washington, and ensuring that it has the autonomy to make decisions that serve its interests. Meanwhile, the US is not sitting idly by. The tech war between the US and China is escalating, with the US taking aggressive steps to block China from accessing advanced semiconductor technologies. In 2025, the US reinstated tariffs and export controls targeting critical tech sectors, particularly in electric vehicles, artificial intelligence, and next-gen telecom networks like 5G. These sectors are seen as key to controlling the future of technology, and the US is determined to maintain its dominance in these areas. The decision to block China's access to these technologies has far-reaching consequences. China has poured billions of dollars into building its domestic chip industry, but it still lacks the capability to produce high-speed memory chips, core AI processors, and modern microcontrollers for EVs. Without access to critical chips from suppliers like South Korea, Chinese tech companies such as Huawei, BYD, and Xiaomi are struggling to keep up. Major projects have been delayed, and new products are shipping with older, less powerful chips. The impact of this disruption is being felt across the tech industry, as a single break in the supply chain can have a ripple effect on the entire global market. South Korea, a key player in the global semiconductor industry, has become a strategic partner for the US in its efforts to control the flow of advanced technologies. South Korea's chip makers, including giants like Samsung and SK Hynix, have long supplied chips to Chinese tech companies. However, as the US and South Korea deepen their partnership on critical technologies, including semiconductors, the dynamics of global tech supply chains are changing. South Korea has already seen a significant drop in its chip exports to China, down 31% in just 1 year. This shift is not just an economic decision for South Korea, it's a geopolitical move. By aligning itself more closely with the US, South Korea is making a strategic choice to prioritize its relationship with Washington over its economic ties with China.